Take on Everton at Stamford Bridge in a 7:45 kick-off this evening. And for Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea, it is a Mendy in goal with a back three of Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva and Rudiger. The four across the middle are James, Loftus-Cheek, Jorginho and Marcus Alonso, with Ziyech, Mount and Pulisic as the three up front. And for Everton, it is Pickford in goal with the back four of Holgate, Branthwaite, Keane and Godfrey. The four across the middle are Kenny, Decore, Andre Gomez and Gordon, with Iwobi and Sims as the two up front. It's a 7:45 kick-off, Chelsea against Everton. Chelsea take on Everton at Stamford Bridge in a 7:45 kick-off this evening. And for Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea, it is a Mendy in goal with a back three of Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva and Rudiger. The four across the middle are James, Loftus-Cheek, Jorginho and Marcus Alonso, with Ziyech, Mount and Pulisic as the three up front. And for Everton, it is Pickford in goal with the back four of Holgate, Branthwaite, Keane and Godfrey. The four across the middle are Kenny, Decore, Andre Gomez and Gordon, with Iwobi and Sims as the two up front. It's a 7:45 kick-off, Chelsea against Everton. Chelsea take on Everton at Stamford Bridge in a 7:45 kick-off this evening. And for Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea, it is a Mendy in goal with a back three of Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva and Rudiger. The four across the middle are James, Loftus-Cheek, Jorginho and Marcus Alonso, with Ziyech, Mount and Pulisic as the three up front. And for Everton, it is Pickford in goal with the back four of Holgate, Branthwaite, Keane and Godfrey. The four across the middle are Kenny, Decore, Andre Gomez and Gordon, with Iwobi and Sims as the two up front. It's a 7:45 kick-off, Chelsea against Everton. Chelsea take on Everton at Stamford Bridge in a 7:45 kick-off this evening. And for Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea, it is a Mendy in goal with a back three of Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva and Rudiger. The four across the middle are James, Loftus-Cheek, Jorginho and Marcus Alonso, with Ziyech, Mount and Pulisic as the three up front. And for Everton, it is Pickford in goal with the back four of Holgate, Branthwaite, Keane and Godfrey. The four across the middle are Kenny, Decore, Andre Gomez and Gordon, with Iwobi and Sims as the two up front. It's a 7:45 kick-off, Chelsea against Everton. Chelsea take on Everton at Stamford Bridge in a 7:45 kick-off this evening. And for Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea, it is a Mendy in goal with a back three of Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva and Rudiger. The four across the middle are James, Loftus-Cheek, Jorginho and Marcus Alonso, with Ziyech, Mount and Pulisic as the three up front. And for Everton, it is Pickford in goal with the back four of Holgate, Branthwaite, Keane and Godfrey. The four across the middle are Kenny, Decore, Andre Gomez and Gordon, with Iwobi and Sims as the two up front. It's a 7:45 kick-off, Chelsea against Everton. Chelsea take on Everton at Stamford Bridge in a 7:45 kick-off this evening. And for Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea, it is a Mendy in goal with a back three of Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva and Rudiger. The four across the middle are James, Loftus-Cheek, Jorginho and Marcus Alonso, with Ziyech, Mount and Pulisic as the three up front. And for Everton, it is Pickford in goal with the back four of Holgate, Branthwaite, Keane and Godfrey. The four across the middle are Kenny, Decore, Andre Gomez and Gordon, with Iwobi and Sims as the two up front. It's a 7:45 kick-off, Chelsea against Everton. Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. It's a 7:45 kick-off at Stamford Bridge, and we're delighted that the game is actually going ahead with so many games being postponed over the last 24 hours. But we are ready to get underway here at Stamford Bridge, and Michael Oliver has just whistled. The players have taken the knee, and we're about to get underway here. It's Chelsea taking on Everton. Everton are decimated by injuries right now, having to make a whole host of changes. Chelsea looking strong, of course, in decent form going into this game. And it's myself, Paul Shabakovic, and Sam Wright taking you through the action. Sam, Chelsea going to be very, very strong favourites here. Everton potentially just damage limitation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Everton about to make 5 changes to this game, and you've also got Sims up front making his debut. Them changes for Everton, by the way, are Kenny, Branthwaite, Iwobi, Gordon and Sims all coming in. Coleman, Delph, Townsend, Gray and Richarlison all dropping out to some very important players for the Toffees. And yeah, with the way it's going really, and looking at Everton's form over the last couple of months compared to Chelsea, who are of course in the title race, it's difficult to really see Everton getting something from this, but an opportunity for some young players for them to make a name for themselves, and Rafa Benitez will be eager to get one over on his former club. Absolutely. You mentioned the changes. The full 11s is Edouard Mendy in goal for Chelsea, with the back three of Cesar Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva and Antonio Rudiger. The four across the middle are Reece James, Ruben Loftus
Loftus-Cheek, Jorginho and Marcus Alonso, with Hakim Ziyech, Mason Mount and Christian Pulisic as the three up front. As for Everton, is Jordan Pickford in goal, a back four of Mason Holgate, Jared Branthwaite, Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey. Four across the middle, John Joe Kenny, Abdoulaye Doucouré, Andre Gomez and Anthony Gordon, with Alex Iwobi playing just behind a debutant Ellis Sims up front for Everton this evening. But it's Marcus Alonso now in possession for Chelsea, rolling it back towards Rudiger. And Iwobi thought about pressing on Mendy, but Mendy's got the time now just to get that ball out towards Azpilicueta. Although straight away we can see Sims trying to press it off to Sheik, and that's what Everton have to do. They have to keep the energy levels up because they know that Chelsea are more than likely going to see more of the ball. Just get your thoughts on that in a second as Pulisic chases this one down the left-hand side. He keeps it in play as well. That's really good. Ooh, he doesn't keep it in play. It's just gone out for a throw. But for a moment there, Pulisic probably thought he was in. Yeah, good play from Pulisic actually to go for that ball. He looked like a moment he did keep it in. The referee there, or the linesman for that matter, decided that wasn't the case. And yeah, Everton get it through. But like you say, I agree with what you said a moment ago about Everton. They're going to have great energy levels. I mean, obviously their form hasn't been great, as I mentioned, the last couple of months. It's important they try and frustrate Chelsea. Chelsea have been conceding goals recently. Some that Everton will certainly take inspiration from. But yeah, I do think this is going to be a tough game for Everton. They're going to have to be at their best if they're to get anything, that's for sure. Certainly will, and the throw taken out, it's with Iwobi now, just loses the ball out to Reece James, but he runs straight into Andre Gomez, and now Anthony Gordon with a chance to just get the ball forward here for Everton. He plays it to square towards Kenny, and then a deflection. Has that gone off for Everton throw? Certainly the visitors were hoping so, but it looks like it has gone out for a throw to Chelsea. And certainly from Thomas Tuchel's point of view, these are the sorts of games that his sides occasionally come unstuck in. We saw them a few weeks ago against Burnley, just making a bit of a mess of that game at home. So they still have to get a good start here and try and take an early lead. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that game against Burnley for Chelsea was so frustrating. They had so many opportunities to put the game to bed, but they didn't take them, and ultimately they got punished. And we saw them just a week after that against Manchester United as well, where they did have large, dominated large parts of the game, but they give away a goal, and it was an uphill battle from there. They managed to get the equaliser, but Chelsea had been beaten once at home this season. That was, of course, to Manchester City, who are the league leaders at the moment, but they need to make the most of these games if they're to keep in touch and distance off both City and Liverpool. Absolutely, and with so many games being postponed, if you are playing and you're in form, get the 3 points on the board and then worry about your opposition. The teams around you are going to have to try and make up the fixture list later on. But 3.5 minutes on the clock here. It is Chelsea in possession now with Loftus-Cheek. Just crosses the halfway line, goes over towards Ziyech, who's on the left-hand side this time. He plays in towards Alonso, back in towards Jorginho, tries a long ball towards the edge of the area, aiming at Pulisic. It was the right idea, just a little bit overhit in the end. And Pickford now claims the ball for Everton. I mentioned there is one more game being played this evening. That's at 8 o'clock. Liverpool taking on Newcastle. That game will be available on our service. Leicester against Spurs was the game that was postponed yesterday. There's been a whole host of games postponed across the Football League for the weekend, but certainly as far as the Premier League is concerned, Manchester United against Brighton, Southampton against Brentford, Watford against Palace and West Ham against Norwich. All those games that have fallen away because of COVID. Potentially there might be more disruption as we go into the Christmas period. But here at Stamford Bridge, Everton struggling to get hold of the ball really. Chelsea just quite comfortable with it in midfield. As Rudiger now to Loftus-Cheek, looks over towards the right-hand side. Azpilicueta and James are over on that side. The ball was played through towards Mount, doesn't quite get through to him. Andre Gomez now finds Sims, who goes out towards the left-hand side. Bit of space here for Godfrey. Fires that ball into the feet of Anthony Gordon, does really well to control that. He gets away from Azpilicueta, couldn't quite find the space to get across in. So he goes back towards Andre Gomez. He's got two Chelsea players around him. He almost kept possession, but then Loftus-Cheek is able to dispossess him. And here comes Hakim Ziyech for Chelsea now. Just runs straight into Doucouré and Godfrey. And Keane now back to Gomez. And Everton almost giving the ball away there in midfield. But there was a good half chance there for Everton down their left-hand side. We'll come back to that in a moment because here come Chelsea now through the middle with Ziyech. He runs into Doucouré, goes back towards Jorginho. And there's a run from James. What a great run, a great ball to pick him out. James just misses the inside and it's away for a goal kick. But certainly out of nowhere, quick ball from Jorginho, absolutely split that Everton defence. What a ball from Jorginho, what an opportunity for Reece James. And with the form he's been in all season, you'd expect him to bury that. Really good ball, definitely onside, holds his run well, and when Reece James in that position, he's got to be scoring there, at least hitting the target. But in the end, he fires wide of the near post. What an opportunity for Chelsea. Should have been shooting across the keeper there, really. Maybe trying, obviously with that near post, if you can beat the keeper at the near post, there is always that chance that it will just go roll in, but shooting across the keeper there. There is more chance of perhaps Pickford getting a hand to it, but James had enough time there really to get that one on target. It's taken 6 minutes for Chelsea to get a really good chance in front of goal. Long clearance from Pickford, headed up in the air by Loftus-Cheek. James then heads it down to Mason Mount. Bit of a scramble for it in midfield. It deflects off Iwobi, drops to John Joe Kenny, who then volleys that out toward Anthony Gordon. That's the second time he's done really well to control it. Dispossessed by Azpilicueta, who then completes the task by getting the ball up towards Mason Mount. But it's a bit of a heavy touch from him. And Everton have the ball back now with Branthwaite, plays it forward to Ellis Sims. Well, the referee had his whistle in his mouth there, Mike Oliver, and then perhaps gave himself a quick mental replay and decided there wasn't enough contact for the free kick. Referees are still trying to let things go. We've seen a few more pedantic decisions in the last few weeks, but they are still trying to allow that bit of physicality.
Yeah, and I think it's important they do that, really. I mean, yesterday in the Arsenal game, I think the referee was blowing often, really, and it was kind of disrupting the pattern of the game. So it's good when they let things flow, really. I don't think there was much in that. I mean, Sims is going to have a big job on his hands in his debut. He's up against a very, very good Chelsea defence, very experienced defender in Thiago Silva as well. So yeah, I do think it's going to be tough for him, but he's going to have to live up to that physical battle. It'll be interesting to see how the youngster copes with it.
Absolutely. It's as I say, sometimes it's just best to get into these situations rather than sort of being eased into the team. Just play in a big game away from home against the top opposition and test yourself and learn from it. But so far Everton had little glimmers of possession trying to get forward, but Chelsea certainly dominating as Jorginho feeds that ball in towards James, who's going through the middle this time. James gets to the edge of the area, finds Mount. Mount then shoots across the keeper and it's just wide. He did go across Jordan Pickford rather than going for the near post, but it's just past the post, not too far away though. Yeah,
I think Chelsea need to score in this early spell of dominance. James picks it up in a good position, got a lot of space to run into. Finds Mount, good ball, it's a good effort from Mount to go across the goalkeeper. He just gets it wide of the post, but the way Chelsea have started though, I feel like they need a goal really to let their dominance show. But as for Everton, they've just got to hang in there and ride this storm.
They do. From their point of view, they'll be hoping they can finally break up this Chelsea possession and hopefully try and get the ball away from their own half. But certainly these first 8 minutes are looking pretty tough here for Rafa Benitez's side. On clearance now from Pickford, ball goes over the head of Loftus-Cheek. It drops to Gordon, who's run into there by Jorginho, and the referee thought about it, does give a free kick the way of Everton in the end. Oliver thought about it for a second, but a chance here now for Everton, although Chelsea straight away setting up with a high offside line. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, Everton, if they are going to get any joy, it's going to have to be from, I mean, Chelsea obviously very good at the back, as I mentioned a moment ago. But Everton, those set pieces could be good for obviously Michael Keane and Holgate, and of course Godfrey coming forward from the back. And Mendy's been in a bit of questionable form recently, the Chelsea keeper. Obviously been stellar since he joined, but has made a few, and here comes the free kick now.
Yeah, it's Gordon getting the ball to it. The penalty area, it's going to drop straight towards Branthwaite. His header goes wide in the end. Well, he got himself into a decent position. I think he was in two minds just how he wanted to approach this header, and in the end didn't really get enough power or accuracy behind it.
Yeah, more hits him more than anything, I'd say there. I mean, the ball in, it's one of them that's kind of difficult to control the header once it comes to him, because it's coming up for it, dropping out the sky. But yeah, in the end though, he never really got any meaningful power on it. But again though, it was an Everton player on the end of it, which is a little bit encouraging for set pieces going in the game.
Absolutely, you get the feeling that a set piece is going to be crucial here for Everton, for some open play. Could really be a tough ask for them to try and get enough chances here as Mount gets to the right-hand edge of the penalty area. His cross is hooked away and out for a throw down the right-hand side. Reece James is across to take this. He's got Loftus-Cheek and Azpilicueta, and indeed Pulisic as the short options. Jorginho's just a little bit further back. His Halling's actually come a lot closer towards James now. To the Chelsea right-back, still waiting. Still trying to work out what to do with the ball. Almost it's Ducour actually getting frustrated with the amount of time that Chelsea are taking in finally getting this throw out onto the field. It's back towards Thiago Silva now on the halfway line. Looks up, and Everton doing what they can and trying to play a high offside line themselves. It's making it difficult for Chelsea to get that ball into the box, as it's with Rudiger, finds Ziyech, who turns away from Holgate, wins the foot race against Kenny, gets into the penalty and plays that across. It's a back heel from Mason Mount. In fact, it's Pulisic, I do beg your pardon, it's Pulisic with the back heel, but it's straight into the arms of Pickford.
Yeah, gratefully, but again a chance for Chelsea. That's the third big opening they've had here. It's lovely play from Ziyech to turn there. Beats, of course, Kenny to the ball as well, gets his cross in, and it's a good effort from Pulisic, obviously, from, to improvise like that, but no, in the end, Pickford, luckily for him, it was straight at him, but really good play from Ziyech, and unfortunately though the ball couldn't be turned in.
Well, no, but we've had 11 minutes on the clock and there have been 3 really good chances for Chelsea already, and there's no panic from Chelsea. As you said, you mentioned yourself, they need to score early with this good start, but on the other hand you could say that, is it going to peter out at any stage? You don't really feel as though Everton are suddenly going to grow into the game and start dominating the possession, so as long as Chelsea stick to their task, you would imagine that goal should be coming.
Yeah, Chelsea have a lot of confidence obviously going forward. I mean, yeah, they've been leaking goals a little bit recently, uncharacteristically of them, but they've been good going forward. Obviously got 3 goals against Leeds at the weekend, and one of the last minute winner of course always does confidence the world of good for a team, but you know, the way they've started, like you say, I don't really see this calming down anytime soon for Everton. I did have a feeling this could be a long evening for them with all their issues obviously with injuries, so yeah, they've just got to hang in there as long as they can really and take chances when they come.
Absolutely, that's what they'll be hoping for, if they can stifle Chelsea early on, perhaps ride their luck a little bit in terms of a couple of near misses, and then when they do get that one chance, that one set piece, that's one counter-attack, they need to capitalise. But 12 minutes on the clock, it is goalless, not too far away from a kick-off in the game at Anfield, Liverpool against Newcastle. But in the meantime, a long ball's played to the edge there. It's only headed away partially by Holgate, and it's Ziyech striking across goal. And Pickford does get fingertips to it, and it's away for a corner kick, but in that case it was a long ball that did for Everton this time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, never looked comfortable dealing with it. It's a really poor header by, I believe, Godfrey, and then the ball falls to Ziyech. I think Pickford got to touch on it. Might have been going wide anyway, but again, Pickford, and player for Everton, he's going to have a big performance, especially on the evidence of this early play from Chelsea. 2
attempts to clear that header was Branthwaite and then Holgate, but the ball whipped in, headed away at the edge of the 6-yard box. It drops over towards the left-hand side, and it's away for a throw. I'm just thinking, does that come off Anthony Gordon last? I think it may be another throw to Chelsea here, so another opportunity to try and get this ball into the box. It's with Marcos Alonso now. Just holds the ball up here for Chelsea, looking left and right, nobody really coming close. Now Pulisic has just got a little bit closer in towards Alonso, back to Rudiger, under pressure there from Ellis Sims, back towards the halfway line now for Thiago Silva. Zidane looked up, thought like he was going to play a long ball, but just decides to play it square to Azpilicueta. Now James pressing there from Andre Gomez. It's still comfortable possession here for the home side, as once again Thiago Silva plays that in towards Pulisic. He tries to touch it on for Loftus-Cheek, but that's taken away from him. Now John Joe Kenny down the right hand side for Everton fires the ball towards Iwobi. It was the right idea, maybe just a yard or two short, and that allows Rudiger to get there, but Sims is pressing on Mendy. And Mendy waited until the last second before he got rid of that ball, and it's cleared up towards the halfway line where Ducour and Alonso are fighting for it. It comes away for Alonso, and then Pulisic turning away and brought down. Free kick given there for the foul on Mason Holgate, but still a really good pace to the game, and Iwobi not too far away from capitalising there down the right hand side.
Yeah, good defending from Rudiger. Obviously in a foot race you'd fancy Iwobi to get past Rudiger, but Rudiger does well, and then Mendy taking a little long to clear it. I think that may be down to the form he's been in recently, of course not been at his best, the goalkeeper. Good pressure from Sims, but in the end Chelsea get away, and then they break at the other end, and in the end you've got to say it's probably a clever foul from Holgate. It stops Chelsea going forward, and he's avoided a yellow card.
Certainly has. The free kick's been taken quickly, it's been taken short. Chelsea in possession here with Thiago Silva. Just playing it short now towards Azpilicueta, back to Thiago Silva. It's options for him left and right, goes over towards Reece James. Everton trying to make this half of the field as compact as possible, but despite that Chelsea are still finding gaps here with Azpilicueta. Back to Thiago Silva, he's got Rudiger square, and the Loftus-Cheek just ahead of him, and it's gone to Rudiger over on the left-hand side. The German international does like to wander forward and be involved as a midfielder wherever he can. Ziyech now trying to turn away from Gomez, brought down, and in the end Gomez was just a bit too close to him and couldn't get the ball. Yeah,
absolutely good play again from Ziyech, though. Really tidy footwork from him, good turn, and yeah, let's say Gomez. Yeah, it's good kicks through the back of him there. It's definite free kick and a chance for Chelsea to get another shot off. But like I say, this Chelsea pressure really doesn't feel like it's calming down. We played 15 minutes. They've already had 4 good openings, the host, and I just feel that the pressure's going to keep going out of that Everton goal.
Yes, and this is an opportunity now. We'll see whether it's going to be... It's James and Alonso standing over it, so a left-footed and a right-footed option. It is over on the left-hand side, so you think it would favour Reece James, the right-footer. And from this sort of range, you'd expect him only to be shooting for goal. It's a bit too central really to be thinking about a cross, although there might still be some sort of surprise move here, a short ball perhaps towards Mason Mount, but it is going to be Reece James. It's on target. Good strong hands though from Jordan Pickford. Palms the ball away. Ziyech's ball aimed at the near post, and there was a attempt there, very cheeky attempt from Jorginho just at the edge of the 6-yard box, but Pickford was there at the near post to make a save, and he bowls it straight out to Anthony Gordon. And here come Everton on a counter-attack potentially. Though you can't fold Chelsea, they're back in numbers very quickly. Gordon towards Kenny, who has to go back to the halfway line, and that's the counter-attack been and gone.
Yeah, fair play those Pickford there. I mean, I mentioned he's going to have a big game, and yeah, you'd expect to save the free kick. It is his side, it's pretty much straight at him, but it makes a save. But it's good alertness though to come out and deny Jorginho, who gets right next to him and makes a save. As a shot comes in from Gomez and it ricochets around, but Chelsea do manage to clear their lines. But yeah, I mean, like I say, Pickford, he's going to need a big display today, Pickford, and so far he's doing quite well in the goal, really. But again, the Chelsea pressure just keeps on coming, really, and there's only so long Everton can surely withstand it. Absolutely,
you just feel as though there needs to be an option B here for Everton right now, but they're just not able to hold on to the ball. Ducour, they're trying to spin away from trouble, plays that ball straight to Marcus Alonso. He then leaves it for Jorginho, and we can see 6 attempts on goal already from Chelsea, none yet from Everton. Although in terms of the attempts on target from the home side, it's only really been that free kick that I could think of. Everything else has been just wide. Certainly Chelsea showing some intent early on, as here is Rudiger. Square now to Thiago Silva. Silva now over to Azpilicueta. Gets forward, finds Pulisic at the edge of the area. He's brought down. It's a free kick given. Now, I'm not so sure, though the Everton players aren't happy. I'm not so sure they can say it wasn't a foul.
Yeah, I think that one was a little bit more soft. We'll have to look at the replay here. Pulisic turns away. Now I think Ducour has certainly fouled him actually there. And again, it's Chelsea. Everton don't need to give free kicks away there, though. It's a dangerous position for Chelsea. They have Alonso who can strike it. They have James who can hit them. So yeah, you don't want to be giving away free kicks in these sort of areas against this Chelsea team. We saw from James' effort a moment ago that he does have a good strike on them, and already 100 passes from Chelsea in the opening 17.5 minutes. And the dominance over Everton, that just shows really how much they've had the ball, really.
Yes,
so far.
Absolutely. They really are. It's been a confident start from Chelsea. It's all well and good being a strong favourite at home, but you actually have to keep the pace up, keep the rhythm up, and Chelsea are doing that for the time being. This is slightly more central, maybe even just edging over to the right. So it could be Marcus Alonso who fancies a go. He does. He strikes it straight at the wall. The ball then drops to James, who strikes it from the edge of the area. I'll tell you what, really put his foot through that one, Reece James, and it's just rising over the bar.
That's a really good effort, considering he pretty much did that from a standing position, James. A really good strike, but always going a little bit over. But yeah, Pickford still had to be quite alert there, though, really, and make sure that wasn't dipping under the crossbar. But again, Chelsea with another effort at goal, and yeah, I mean, how long can Everton survive, as I keep asking?
Yeah, it's getting a little bit hot in front of that goal now for Jordan Pickford. He's certainly been able to cope with everything so far. But you just imagine that if this carries on for much longer, sooner or later there's going to be a bit of a scramble in the box where there's just too many Chelsea bodies. But for the time being, it is still goalless. 18.5 minutes gone. Independent off Tube studio commentary. The game between Liverpool and Newcastle is underway now as well. Available on our service. 4 minutes gone there. It is goalless. Here is James now down the right-hand side. He hooks the ball into the penalty area. Pulisic tries to head it down, but it's volleyed away back towards the halfway line. There's a Chelsea man down just inside the Chelsea half. It's Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Certainly not been short of injury problems over the last couple of years. He's just started to enjoy a bit of a run in the team as well.
Yeah, it's the last thing you need really for Loftus-Cheek. Obviously a player who's desperate to prove his worth to Chelsea. Been out on loan a couple of times from the likes of Fulham and Crystal Palace. He wants to prove his worth, and the last thing he wants is an injury setback which puts him out of action for a while. So look at the replay here. I think it might have just been an awkward landing for him in the end. Oh yes, an awkward landing. He comes down on that ankle, and that's the awkward ones. I mean, I remember Kurt Zouma a few years ago for Chelsea having a really.
He did, and although we wouldn't say they're an identical build, they're a similar build. They're both quite tall, stocky players, and of course they're very athletic, very fit. But if they hit the deck awkwardly, there is still a bit of weight going through that one ankle or that one joint, and it can cause all kinds of problems. So this might take a moment or two now for Loftus-Cheek to be checked over, and certainly Thomas Tuchel will be hoping it's nothing too serious. The bench for Chelsea this evening, it's Christensen, Chalobah, Saul, Sarr, Barkley, Kante, and you could tell Chelsea perhaps have got a few injuries themselves, because they've got 2 goalkeepers on their bench this evening in Kepa and Bettinelli as well. But as far as Everton are concerned, they're having to name 2 keepers as well. They've got Begovic and Lonergan on the bench, and they've also got Onyago, Dobbin, Alan Gmabin and Coleman on their bench this evening. It's a whole list of Chelsea players, so a whole list of Everton players, I should say, who are currently out injured. And so you look at that injury list: Townsend, Mina, Dean, Davis, Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison. Every one of those will be pushing for a starting 11 place.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the important thing, really, is players on the bench obviously want to make the impression, but obviously this time of year, when the fixtures do come thick and fast, there is a lot of squad rotation sometimes. Obviously that's not helped due to injuries, but I think players have also got to respect squad rotation, especially in a big squad like Chelsea and even Everton, really. I think Rafa Benitez will be eager to use, and there we have the first yellow card of the game. We do,
and Mason Holgate, he's frustrated here. He's screaming at Michael Oliver, asking how is that a yellow. Well, he tries to get the ball, but there's a bit of a scissor motion there from Holgate as well, which I think just ramps up the sort of the severity of that tackle, and he doesn't actually get the ball.
He does get the ball, but I think he's gone through the man as well, so he's made a few challenges as well now, Holgate. I think he got away with the yellow card earlier on, actually, when he stopped an attack from Chelsea, so yeah, I think that's definitely worthy of a yellow, just due to the fact it's topping up process, really.
Yeah, and he's got to be careful. There's some pace in this Chelsea team. If he gets caught out again, there will always be that temptation perhaps to give away another free kick, and that could be very costly. But in the meantime, John Joe Kenny clears this ball down the right-hand side. It's held up by Sims. Put out a play there by Thiago Silva. An early goal at Anfield, but it's not for Liverpool. It's Newcastle that have taken the lead away at Anfield, which is waiting for confirmation of the goal scorer. But that could backfire on Newcastle. It could just be like trying to anger the caged animal, and then Liverpool could really come back and respond there.
Yeah, I mean, great result for Newcastle. Obviously, that 4-0 loss to Leicester over the weekend, a really bad defeat for them, really, in a game where probably the scoreline flattered Leicester a little, but when you're bottom of the table, though, that's what does happen. But, I mean, yeah, Newcastle, Callum Wilson on the bench tonight as well. They need to get some goals from somewhere. And, yeah, I mean, big blow for Liverpool, and, of course, Chelsea. For Chelsea, that's also a good result for them, of course. Yeah. Liverpool, the team they are competing with at the top of the table.
They'll certainly be cheering that, and I suppose a few Everton fans in this evening will probably be cheering the fact that Liverpool are losing. But it was John Joe Shelby, the former Liverpool man, that gets the goal at Anfield. But here at Stamford Bridge, the throw to Everton down the right-hand side. It was Holgate's ball into the box, which is headed away back into midfield, and Holgate tries to get the ball back into the penalty area. Poor clearance there from Rudiger. It drops straight to Iwobi, who volleys that ball across the edge of the penalty area. It drops now to Godfrey. He leaves it for Andre Gomez, and then Ducour and Gomez between them lose the ball, and a chance here now for Chelsea to go on the counter. Here is Pulisic. He finds Ziyech down the left-hand side. Ziyech goes for goal, which is the wrong option. You had 3 Chelsea players in the penalty area there. The angles are all against him. A left footer shooting from the left-hand side. Goes out for a goal kick. We've actually gone past the halfway mark in this first half. 23 minutes gone. It is Chelsea 0, Everton 0, and it's Sam to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, yeah, I agree that. I think Ziyech just chose the wrong option, really. Got a bit carried away, perhaps, there. Got the ball in a good position. He's got to look to cross it. In the end, he overhits it, and it goes out for a goal kick, and Everton can once again regroup. 23.5 minutes played at Stamford Bridge, and it's hard to believe Chelsea aren't really winning this game with the chance opportunities they've had, but fair play to Everton. They have hung in there, and they'll be open to get an opportunity, which I'm sure they will get at one point during this game.
Yeah, just by if they can keep it quiet, at some stage you would imagine that there could be. We've seen a couple of loose balls in midfield from Chelsea already. Seen a couple of situations where Everton, perhaps just a slightly more accurate pass, they could have had a bit of use. A bit of lucky there as the ball deflected off Michael Oliver. The drop ball now, and Chelsea back in possession.
Yes, Thiago Silva, the experienced centre-back, on the ball at the moment as Chelsea look to build from the back, looking for options. The Brazilian finds Azpilicueta to Jorginho. On to Loftus-Cheek, who is okay, thankfully, to continue. He goes out to the right-hand side to Mount, who plays it back into Reece James. James to Rudiger, who did score against Everton in October 2017 in a 2-1 win for Chelsea. Rudiger, of course, very much in the wars against Leeds United at the weekend. Ball flicked out now to Azpilicueta. Keep it in and find James. Thiago Silva. As Chelsea continue to come forward. Is Ziyech, good take from him. Just about gets away as well. Mount onto Loftus-Cheek. Reece James in the air. Reece James crosses in. It's good defending in the end from Holgate to clear. And again, Chelsea coming forward promisingly. In the end, Holgate positioned well.
Holgate was positioned well. It was the right option there from James. I thought initially the way he sort of positioned himself, he might be wanting to shoot across the goalkeeper. This time it was the right option to play it square, but Holgate in the right place, be able to get a clearance. For a quick round of applause there from Thomas Tuchel. Must be pleased that his side is still maintaining the energy levels.
Absolutely, 25 minutes, all been Chelsea, but there is no goals yet though. And of course, did mention that Chelsea-Burnley game where Chelsea had countless chances to kill off the game. Wasn't quite the case though, and they ended up drawing the game 1-1. So they've got to be careful their wastefulness doesn't come back to haunt them. Here is Mount, Jorginho, Rudiger, on to Ziyech. Alonso, who has also scored against Everton previously in his career, a 5-0 win in November 2016, and the Antonio Conte days. Here's Azpilicueta to James. Loftus-Cheek is certainly moving well now, which is good to see. Turn from him as well. Onto Mount, it's just too much on the ball and the attack breaks down. A good play from Loftus-Cheek, but in the end a little bit too much on the pass.
Yeah, he does put too much on the pass. The idea again was right though. This because of the way Chelsea are playing, they're winning the ball back in midfield. They're getting forward. They're getting chance after chance. And on 2 or 3 occasions now, the pass has just been a little bit overhit, or the Everton defender's been just in the right place. You can see they just stabbed that ball a little bit too quickly there, Loftus-Cheek, but looks absolutely fine now after that awkward fall a little bit earlier on.
Absolutely, yeah, good to see as well. So it did not look nice, of course, on the replays that we see. So good to see. Of course, see their 73% possession for Chelsea so far in this game. As you probably would expect, looking at the lineups, but no goals yet, which is the most important stat, and it is still 0-0, which Everton and Rafa Benitez will be delighted with, and they have a throw-in on the far side.
Yeah, well, this is it. This is good news for Everton. They can finally get the ball away from their own half. This is where they perhaps just need to improve. We've been praising Everton for their energy levels and trying to frustrate Chelsea, but there we just see it's a throw-on with no real pressure. Godfrey throws it in to Sims, and he misses his teammate by about 3 or 4 yards, and it just goes straight out for a throw to Chelsea. It's not much of a big deal. It's only around about the halfway line, but that's where Everton could keep the ball for a bit longer and perhaps just frustrate Chelsea. As it is, they've got to get straight back and defend now.
Real opportunity for the striker Sims to make a name for himself against Chelsea, of course, if he were to make a meaningful contribution this evening. Here's Chelsea in possession though, with Thiago Silva just inside his own half to his fellow centre-back Rudiger. Back to Thiago Silva, Loftus-Cheek, Azpilicueta, Jorginho. Ball forward, I think that's going to be seen out, though it is. Away, he goes to control it, he has to clear it in the end. Spredo Abramovich didn't let that go out, really.
Yeah, again, perhaps just a little bit of nerves. You can hear the Chelsea fans just behind him cheering, hoping that their player can perhaps get on the end of it. And that moment of indecision means that Chelsea still have possession at the edge of the box, although Loftus-Cheek stopped there by Godfrey, but puts the ball out for a throw a little bit further up the field.
Yeah, Godfrey putting out, but Chelsea, though, the pressure is still coming. Not as many chances in recent time for Chelsea, but still, though, plenty of.
It was accidental. There's nothing Doucouré could do, and he allowed play to go on. I think it definitely struck him, but it was from so close in, and he did have his arm by his side as well.
I think it flicked up off his own foot, actually, and then ended up hitting him on the hands, which is very much accidental. Azpilicueta in possession now to Reece James. Had a great chance to open the scoring early on. That chance could come back to haunt Chelsea, as could a couple of others after. Here's Rudiger in possession to Jorginho. Thiago Silva, and Chelsea looking for them options. A lot of possession. Everton won't mind the ball being in this part of the field, that's for sure. Azpilicueta out to James. Loftus-Cheek, Rudiger. Loftus-Cheek again. Chelsea just patient play. Pulisic Ziyech takes it from him. And finds Alonso in the penalty area. Alonso chance to maybe cross. He does. It's not a bad ball, and it's Mason Mount who gets on the end of it, and a weak effort, and it just runs through to pick. But good patient build-up from Chelsea. No finish at the end.
It was, as you say, it was a good 15-20 passes put together there before that ball got into the penalty area. It was Ziyech's ball to Alonso that just injected a bit of pace into the move, and it was almost like the ball was just falling onto Mason Mount on the wrong side. If that same cross had come in from the right, he could have perhaps just swept at it with his right foot and got it on target. But as it is, 10 efforts from Chelsea, which 5 have been on target, just the 1 effort from Everton, which was off target. Here comes Rudiger again for the home side.
You've got to say that out of them 10 efforts, not a good play from Rudiger. In the end, he has overrun the ball, but great effort from him. But I think all them saves Pickford's made, though, bar maybe one, or maybe the Reece James free kick, no save that's really overly tested him, which I think Everton will be quite happy with.
Yes, I think so. It's funny because in terms of the defending that Everton have done, you wouldn't say they're hanging on, but in terms of the possession and the chances count, you would say they are hanging on. So so far it looks good for Everton because they are stifling Chelsea as much as they can, but despite that, Chelsea are still getting their chances, as Michael Keane really having to work hard there. Just about clears the ball away. On this occasion, Sims does well to hold it up for Kenny. But once again, the amount of time Everton spend in possession there is in seconds.
Absolutely, you see Rafa Benitez on the touchdown. They'll be happy the score is still 0-0, and of course Everton have got to take it as it comes, and it is still 0-0 despite the fact Chelsea have certainly had the better of the game. It's to be expected. It's going to be Holgate with the throw in. That will be just straight to Thiago Silva. Possession coming back by Doucouré. Azpilicueta steps in to head it away, and it's kept in, I think, by Kenny. It's actually going to be a throw into Chelsea in the end, and again possession back with Chelsea. And as for Benitez, I mean, if he can get this 0-0 into half-time, I guess he'll say it's a job well done.
Yeah, I think so. I think you'd say that considering that his side have lost 4 of their last 5 league games and haven't really looked particularly good away from home in their last few meetings. Their last 2 trips to London haven't ended particularly fruitfully, losing to Brentford and to Palace. So based on that, you'd say that they're doing well here in terms of trying to restrict Chelsea. But the problem for them is that what happens if Chelsea score, which is always a chance Chelsea could score. Do Everton really have a plan B?
Absolutely. Jorginho in possession now. Loftus-Cheek. Maybe finds Azpilicueta to his right. Back to Loftus-Cheek, Jorginho. Azpilicueta to Thiago Silva, just in the D. Finds Rudiger. Rudiger on to Jorginho, goes back to him again. Patient play this from Chelsea. Saw a movement a moment ago. There's about 20 passes until Mason Mount's effort was denied by Jordan Pickford. Thiago Silva, Jorginho again. Rudiger. Jorginho, with plenty of bodies back, and it's going to be a case Chelsea going to have to be patient and try and find a way through, and in the end Everton do win it back, but it's straight back with Chelsea. Interesting to see how many passes they've made by the end of this half.
Absolutely, we'll check that stat towards the end of the half. You're absolutely right, but what you say about Chelsea in terms of them, wanting to get that first goal, they won't feel under too much pressure because there's no attacking threat from Everton really, so they can just sort of go about their business and get that first chance and try and take that lead. As Mount now tries to take on Branthwaite, but again, big defender does well there and gets the ball away.
Good play for Branthwaite in the end to get his body in the way of Mount and clear. Chelsea do have possession back with a throw. Azpilicueta finds Thiago Silva, who then finds Rudiger. Thiago Silva. Silva, many achievements in his career. The Brazilian would love to have add a Premier League winner's medal to his name. It is Jorginho in possession now, finds Alonso. Rudiger. Silva see plenty of the ball, the Brazilian. He crosses in, it's towards Mount. Mount takes it down. It's a bit of a heavy touch and it's cleared away by Everton skipper Michael Keane. Again, Mount just a better touch there and it could have given.
Yeah, it was a good to perhaps could have done a little bit better, especially as we know the sort of close control that Mason Mount does have. He would have backed himself to have done a little bit better with that one. But Chelsea back in possession. There's no harm as far as Chelsea are concerned. They lose the ball, but they get it back very quickly.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone for Everton pretty much behind the ball and having to work very hard. They are still at 0-0, which will delight the supporters and Rafa Benitez. Azpilicueta into Jorginho, finds space. And then he finds Mount on the back to Azpilicueta. Bit of a heavy touch, but he does keep possession and then goes to Reece James. Ball slightly behind him though. James then goes to Thiago Silva. Instead he goes forward to Jorginho. Ziyech. Return from him. Mount lays it back to him, and Ziyech does get it back. Ziyech on the edge there. Ziyech shoots and it's just gone wide, but it presented itself well to Ziyech, and Pickford was flat-footed, but the ball just going wide. Yeah, if that was on target, Pickford's not saving it. He'd almost, I think he saw it just a little bit too late, as Andre Gomez has got to give himself a bit of a talking to there, because that ball was his. After Mount tried to touch it onto Ziyech, Andre Gomez should be clearing that all day long, and somehow it still got through to Hakim Ziyech. Loose play there from Andre Gomez, and Jordan Pickford will take this goal. Can you imagine for Everton, the way the game's gone so far, Pickford won't be rushing any goal kicks. He'll want to calm the play down and break up the momentum, really.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that it doesn't want to take too long, of course. We have seen over the past few years, referees have actually started booking goalkeepers in first halves. I think I've seen that twice myself, where keepers have been booked in the first half, albeit that were both in Football League games rather than Premier League games. But it is something that referees do have to keep an eye on, although players know that time they waste during the half, you're never really going to get all of that back.
Ziyech on the left-hand side in possession finds Rudiger, who then finds Loftus-Cheek. Options, and he will find Mount on the right hand side. He goes forward, not a bad ball, it nearly ran through to James, and then Pulisic will try and get there. It's a corner though to Chelsea, and again a chance for them to get the ball into the Everton area. Yeah, well, they've tried quite a lot from open play in the last 10 minutes or so, and they've had some partial success in terms of getting that final ball into to get a shot away, but now from a set piece, in theory, this is where Everton should be able to dominate. They've got a couple of very tall defenders, a couple of good players in the air. But Chelsea, of course, themselves, with players like Rudiger, will also fancy their chances. Yeah, Alonso with it. It's not a bad delivery. It's headed away, though, well in the end by Sims. And the shot comes back and it's blocked again by Sims. Forward doing his defensive duties well there. Iwobi competes for it. No foul given. Alonso then picks out Mount. Mount in the centre of the park. Goes into Rudiger, who stayed forward. Rudiger turns and goes into Mount. Mount goes through, and Mount's denied by Pickford. Not sure if a flag would have gone up anyway. Gets Alonso in front, but good goalkeeping by Pickford in the end, who read it well.
That's excellent goalkeeping by Pickford. I mean, it's superb from Rudiger. I mentioned that he likes to join the attack sometimes as an additional midfielder. Deft touch there from the veteran defender, getting that one into Mount, but Pickford doing his best, just using his foot there to make the save. Alonso now puts a cross in from the resulting throw, but it's Pickford with a comfortable save.
Has been criticised quite a lot, Pickford, in the last couple of years, but when he's at his best, there's no doubt he is a great goalkeeper, and there you get back Mount to score one-on-one. It's a little bit close to him, but Pickford's still got to be alert to make the save and stick his foot out.
Yeah, sometimes keepers gamble there, don't they? They try and dive one way or the other to sort of second guess what the forward's going to do, almost as if it's a penalty with a rolling ball, but on that occasion, I thought that Pickford did well, held his ground, and Mount, as you said, he didn't have much time or space to really work with the ball, so it was the best shot that he could produce from that sort of distance. I think the criticism that Pickford gets is that sometimes he is a little bit hot-headed. He'll clear a ball or bowl a ball out when he doesn't need to, and he sometimes rushes out and miskicks his back passes that he gets from his teammates, but I don't think his shot stopping's ever come into question. I think every keeper makes the odd error where they let an easy ball in, but overall his reading of shots is generally, I think, very good.
And Chelsea have possession now. Rudiger finds Ziyech, who turns well, but the Corey's done well to win that one back. Maybe a chance for Everton to break. Iwobi just has the ball now, just loses out though to Alonso. A bit weak play there from Alex Iwobi. Loftus-Cheek then finds Pulisic. He's crowded out well. Certainly a foul though by Andre Gomez. I mean, he just had to do that, really, I guess, didn't he? Because he was going forward and he turns his back and he just gives him a nudge and he goes down.
It's one of those where if Gomez backs away and lets it happen, Chelsea this time taking a little bit too quick. I didn't think the rest of the Chelsea players were ready for this, and in the end having to go back with it.
Absolutely, Thiago Silva seen plenty of the ball. The Brazilian centre back in this half finds Alonso, goes out to Reece James. He finds Jorginho. James to Aspilicueta, just takes the ball over the halfway line to Thiago Silva. 1-1 at Anfield now. Diogo Jota with an equaliser on 20 minutes.
He's getting some really good goal-scoring form recently, Jota. I always questioned that transfer initially when I thought, how much that game time is he going to get at Liverpool? But he's actually proven to be, with the injury to Firmino, he stepped in and actually got the goals.
Yeah, a fantastic signing he's proved to be, Diogo Jota, of course. No doubt about his ability at Wolves, but certainly in that final season, we did see him waste a lot of goal-scoring opportunities, something I often criticised him for. But no, he's been fantastic.
He has. I feared he was going to be another Shaqiri who comes on for a little cameo, gets the odd cross, the odd goal maybe every 7 or 8 games, but far from it. He's very much a part of that Liverpool team now, and Liverpool are level there. We'll see what develops in that game. Any more goals we will of course let you know, but here 7.5 minutes until half time, and it's as you were, Chelsea in possession, although Everton pressing.
Yes, it's Alonso who finds Jorginho, and goes fan pull. Some good defending though there by Michael Keane, and then Gomez's ball is given away and he gets it back, and he will go back to Michael Keane, who then go back to Jordan Pickford. Not the best ball, but Pickford easily keeps it in and clears it away as well. Pickford's certainly been solid between the sticks so far, which is exactly what Everton need on a night like this.
Well, you asked for the total passes. 268 passes from Chelsea to 44 from Everton. 64 passes in the final third to 13 from Everton. 12 touches in the opposition box to 2 for Everton. So Chelsea statistically absolutely running riot, but it's still 0-0.
Absolutely, it's a break forward now for Everton. What Reece James does well. He's just about to go back to his goalkeeper. I thought for a moment though, Godfrey might have stuck in momentarily, but Mendy just about alive and makes a save.
Yeah, as I say, there was a little bit under hit that header, but Mendy was already coming off his line in any case, and was able to make the save. Performance. Forgot that Mendy was on the field. He's had so little to do in the last 10-15 minutes, but I can tell you that there is a third goal at Anfield, and Liverpool have turned things around. They are now 2-1 up, just waiting for confirmation of the goal scorer, but Liverpool now 2-1 up on 25 minutes.
Normal service resumed at Anfield, and of course that won't be a great goal for Chelsea, of course, as well. They will want to make the most of everything, really. I mean, every result City and Liverpool get, Chelsea need to respond because they have fallen behind the pack a little bit, so important they do keep within distance of City and Liverpool. Chelsea going to go throw in on the far side. See Reece James there, a little bit of frustration creeping into Chelsea. They'll feel like they need to be winning this game. They're not winning the game though, and Everton have done their job well in frustrating them, but if it goes 0-0 into half time, Tuchel just going to, all Tuchel can really say is keep it up, but they need to get a goal.
They need to get a goal, perhaps just be a little bit more creative, perhaps try a few more long balls, try to perhaps draw Everton in, get them playing a little bit higher up the field so they can perhaps try and exploit the pace that Chelsea do have in this attack line. To Kante, it was Mo Salah that got the goal for Liverpool to put them 2-1 up.
Here's Alonso in field, but in the end, it was a good play there by Loftus-Cheek to get it back. Rudiger. Mo Salah scoring, no surprise, of course. I believe he was on the first play to score 5 in a row at Anfield for Liverpool with that goal as well. But a fantastic season he's having, the Egyptian. Alonso goes down to Ziyech. Does well, really good play from him to free find Alonso. Loftus-Cheek. Azpilicueta. It's Mount who might go and hit. That's really good play though by Gordon, and he's actually won a free kick in the end. And Gordon doing well there to get his body in the way.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, it seems like he got quite a clout there as well, Anthony Gordon, as he was trying to stop Mason Mount. Heavy touch there from Mount. That allowed Gordon to get his body in the way. And then a little bit petulant there from Mount, just sticks a foot and a bit of an arm in there just to try and push the Everton youngster out the way. But that's what Anthony Gordon's got to do there, just to try and draw in a foul, slow things down and win the ball back for his team as well.
Frustration, I guess you could say there, by Mount, of course, and a confirmation of Liverpool's goal, 25 minutes on the clock, 2-1 against Newcastle United at Anfield. Pickford takes the free kick for Everton, and it's cleared away by Thiago Silva. It drops out the air. Ziyech and Loftus-Cheek both went for it. Gomez wins it, but the ball's back in Chelsea possession. James has it now. Good take from him. Ziyech on the opposite flank for the time being. Good run, and he checks back as well. Finds James. Will bring Rudiger into play. Loftus-Cheek turns away. Gomez does well originally, but still has possession. Loftus-Cheek. Thiago Silva. Alonso. Jorginho. Azpilicueta, it's a poor ball from him, but he does get a second bite of it and plays to Alonso. It's dispossessed by Gomez. Good play from Gomez, and he keeps possession as well. Really good play from the midfielder. Falls on as well to Godfrey. A chance for him to maybe get a ball into the area. Godfrey does. It's low to Decore who controls it, and he's crowded out by Chelsea bodies, but he does well to find Gordon, who will go for goal. It's not bad effort, but an easy save for Mendy. But that's a promising break from Everton, probably the best we've seen all half.
Yeah, that was much better from Everton. They got their chance down the left-hand side. Godfrey got a good ball from Gomez. Anthony Gordon doesn't really put his foot through this one. It's one of those curling efforts. It doesn't really go off the laces, if you see what I mean. Doesn't really make the contact with the ball that he'd like. And in the end, it's a very easy save there for Mendy. But we have to say, it's taken 43 minutes, but Everton do have their first effort on target.
Exactly. It's Andre Gomez there as well. I praise his play, actually. Quite often a critic myself of Andre Gomez for the way he plays at times. That was good, though. Bursting forward, getting the ball, taking on a couple of Chelsea players. That really started the attack. And I know it came to nothing, but that's better, though, from Everton.
Oh, it is. I mean, I'm a fan of Andre Gomez when he's playing well. The problem with him is that he's a big midfielder, but perhaps isn't always as physical as he could be. And for all the ability he has, sometimes his passing just can let him down. Of course, he did have that horrific injury after that collision with Heung-min Son. That certainly slowed his progress, but back in the team now. And certainly when he's on his day, that pass we saw there to Godfrey, as you mentioned, he was sort of marshalling that whole move. And we need to see more of him in this game now.
Absolutely. It's Chelsea in possession again. Just under 90 seconds to go until the 45 minutes have been played. Rudiger plays Jorginho. Jorginho gets it out of his feet. Alonso touched off by Pulisic. Loftus-Cheek then with a bit of a loose one, and Decore picks up good play from the former Watford man. Decore carries on as well. Good for challenge in the end, but the play is going to be brought back, and I think Loftus-Cheek might well receive a yellow card here. He's going, so I think that might have been an earlier foul as well that he was penalised for. But good play from Decore. Mentioned about Gomez going forward well. We saw an example from Decore there as well.
Yeah, this is good from Decore, and it's always risky there from Loftus-Cheek. If you're going to come in from the side like that when your opponent's at full speed, but then you've got to almost be ahead of him to make that tackle work. And Loftus-Cheek potentially could have just got a yellow for that on its own. But I think combined with a couple of other little fouls he's committed, it certainly would have warranted a yellow. But already problems here for Everton, because Chelsea have set up about 10 or even 15 yards away from the edge of their own box with the offside. So Gordon's got to try and judge this one just right.
Gordon does play it. It's not a bad one, but it will be headed away by Thiago Silva, and then Pulisic can complete the clearance, and it's back with Gordon, who goes back to Branthwaite. And then Decore goes back to Pickford. 45 minutes very nearly up at Stamford Bridge. I don't think there'll be much added time here, maybe a minute. Ball played forward, and Alonso lets that go out, and it will be a throw into Chelsea, and there will be 2 added minutes in fact to Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, well, I suppose we had that stoppage for Loftus-Cheek when he went down, and maybe the couple of free kicks, I suppose, the amount of time it took to organise everything, you could argue. So we mentioned you never get all the time lost for every set piece anyway, but still a couple of minutes here. I was about to say the words, a couple of minutes here for Everton to hang on, but I think that's probably a bit harsh. They've actually grown into the game, I think, and are doing well now to push Chelsea away from their own box.
Absolutely, yeah. I think earlier on in the half, it certainly was a case of hanging on, but I think Everton, to their credit, are growing into it. Rafa Benitez only ever won once at Stamford Bridge as a manager. That was when he was Liverpool boss, October 2000. 2008. A 1-0 win when Chelsea had Luis Felipe Scolari in charge. Those were the days, of course. A 1-0 win thanks to a goal from Xabi Alonso in that game, and so that ended Chelsea's 4.5-year unbeaten run at Stamford Bridge as well. So good memories there for Rafa Benitez. But yeah, I mean, going to be tough to break that, but they are 0-0 at half, going into half-time as it stands, and it's a minute of the two played, and it's a job well done for Everton.
Yeah, I think so. I think that certainly the first 10 minutes it looked as though it's only a matter of time. Chelsea are going to score, Everton are going to crumble, and it'll probably be 3-0 by half-time, but it's not been like that at all. There's been sporadic moments there where Chelsea have really looked on top, but the longer this half has gone on, the more Everton's game plan of just trying to restrict Chelsea seems to be working.
Aspilicueta is up in the air. Iwobi will compete for it. Will come off Iwobi, and it will be a throw-in to Chelsea. Reece James to take it. He finds Thiago Silva. Just slowly brings the ball away and then finds Rudiger. Out to Marcos Alonso. For options, and he just has to go back in the end to Rudiger. Everton very close to getting it 0-0 into half-time. Loftus-Cheek. Thiago Silva. Okay, kind of gone at walking pace for the time being. That's a good ball though, which will find Mason Mount. One last attack maybe for Chelsea, but no, the half-time whistle blows, and it is Chelsea 0, Everton 0 at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea have certainly had the better of the game, but Everton have done their job well in frustrating the host. Jordan Pickford certainly done well between the sticks as well. Half-time score, Chelsea 0, Everton 0.
Half-time at Stamford Bridge, and it is goalless between Chelsea and Everton. Chelsea certainly enjoying a lot more possession and a lot more chances in front of goal. The best of those, Reece James, was put through by Jorginho, put it just wide. Mason Mount shot across the goalkeeper. There was a back heel from Pulisic, which was well saved.